For this video, I wanted to do a lesson that covers not only how to learn the notes on the fretboard, but more importantly, how to teach yourself how to find any note that you want on any fret, on any string, very quickly. After you watch this video lesson, click on the link that's right below, and that will take you over to practicetheguitar.com, and there you can practice with hundreds of guitar video exercises at 15 different tempos that include backing tracks, a lesson video for every single lesson, tablature, and notation, all designed to help you to improve your playing. Go check it out. So before we get too far into this lesson, let's go over a few basic principles. Number one, you want to know the musical alphabet, and the musical alphabet is A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A. Now, that's just naming the notes starting on A and going back to A and not worrying about the intervals or the steps in between. What we will do for the sake of this lesson is we're going to start the musical alphabet on E because that's the tuning of the low string or the sixth string on the guitar. So we're going to say E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E. So that's the first step. The second step is you want to know the tuning of the open strings of the guitar, which are E, A, D, G, B, and E. So that again, E, A, D, G, B, and E. The next thing you want to realize is that the musical alphabet and the guitar, we have notes that are what we consider natural notes. So those would be your E, your F, your G, your A, and so on and so forth. Then we have notes that we consider sharp or flat notes. So when we sharp a note, we take a pitch and we raise it by a half step, and that's what makes it sharp. When we flat a note, we'd have a pitch, and then we would lower that note by a half step, and that would make it flat. For this lesson, we're just going to work on where all the natural notes fall on the guitar, and then what we're going to do is leave the spaces where the sharps and flats would fall to make this easier to take in at the same time. And if we focus on all of the natural notes, that will help you to see the relationships between each note and how they fall on the instrument. But the important rule with this to remember is that one fret on the guitar, the distance of one fret, is equal to a half step, and 2 frets is equal to a whole step. So for example, if I was on the 5th fret, just trust me for now that that's an A, and I move that note 2 frets up to the 7th fret, that would be the pitch of B, and there's going to be a fret in between those two. Now, this fret between the two would be either A sharp or B flat, depending on the musical context. So what we'll do for the sake of this lesson is just leave those sharps and flats as spaces for now, so you can figure out how to navigate the neck, not only in this sort of horizontal type fashion, but also in a vertical type fashion as well. So what I like to call step number 1 is investigating how the guitar works from the open string to the 12th fret and back down. So for example, if we start with the low open E string, that's the 6th string, and we always number the strings on the guitar 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So the lowest string in pitch is string number 6. And we know that that note is E because that's what that string is tuned to. So based off of that information, if we play that open string, that gives us the pitch of E. So the next thing to learn out of these small little steps to begin to plug this stuff in is that in the musical alphabet, between E and F and B and C, there's no sharp or flat note in between those two. So on the guitar, what that's going to mean is that there's no fret in between those two notes. So if we simply move up and down the musical alphabet starting on this one string, we can safely say that the 6th string played open is E. The next note in the musical alphabet would be F. Because there's no pitch or no note between E and F, if we move up just 1 fret and play the 1st fret on the guitar, that would be F. And then from F, the next note in the musical alphabet would be G. Now I'm moving 2 frets there because it's not B to C and it's not E to F. So there's going to be a note in between F and G, which would be the 2nd fret. So F is on the 1st fret, G is on the 3rd fret. Now if I know that I'm on G and I move up to the next note of the musical alphabet, which would be A, I move up another 2 frets. So we're skipping over the 4th fret and going to the 5th fret. So that's E, F, G, and A. Now once I'm on A, we move up another 2 frets to B. Now I know that it's 2 frets because it's not B to C or E to F. So that's the 5th fret to the 7th fret. And then now that I'm on B, I'm going to move up only 1 fret because B to C and E and F are always half steps, so they're only 1 fret apart. So the B on the 7th fret would move to C on the 8th fret. From C, we move to D, which is on the 10th fret, that's a whole step. And then D moves to E, which is another whole step, and that's on the 12th fret. The reason why I'm stopping at the 12th fret is because that's where the musical alphabet on each individual string would start over. So as you go open E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E, I'm on the 12th fret and I'm back at E. What you can learn from this is that from the open string to the 12th fret is the same set of notes as from the 12th fret to the rest of the guitar. So for now, let's just get rid of everything from the 12th fret up and let's focus on the open string to the 12th fret. Now, what I think is really good practice, also play the notes backwards, because when you play music, you don't only ascend up notes, but you also descend down notes. So that would be E, then that would go backwards down to D, which is a whole step. E goes to D, D goes to C, C goes to B, which is only a half step, B goes to A goes to G, G goes to F, and then F would go to E. There's a lot of little rules in this first step to get a handle on. But once you get a basic understanding of the distance from E to F and B to C only being a half step, and that's only a distance of 1 fret for the half step and 2 frets for the whole step, and if you start on the open string and you go to the 12th fret and you go back down, this teaches you a lot of fundamental, simple, important music rules. Number 1, the relationships between those basic natural notes and the distances on the guitar between those natural notes are all the real important steps here to pay attention to. What I think is an awesome exercise is to take this concept and simply do this from each string. Now, this isn't going to teach you how to memorize every single note on the guitar based off of only this one step, but this is why we're going to break this down into 3 steps so we can gradually make this more difficult and you can view the guitar not only horizontally like this, but also vertically this way as well. What I think would be really helpful is just simply say and play each note going up and down each string. So I'll go through this. E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E, D, C, B, A, G, F, E. Now, I'm not thinking so much, I know that this is A, and ignoring everything else. What I'm trying to do here is think, I was on E, now I'm moving to F. Now I'm on F, and now I'm moving to G. And I'm plugging in those rules as I'm playing through the notes. This helps you to learn what the rules are, helps you to more quickly memorize them, and this gives you a tangible way to actually practice it. So once you do this from the 6th string, I'd recommend doing the same thing from the 5th string. Now the 5th string is open A. We know that that's A because that's what we tune that string to for natural tuning, and that's going to be A starting off open. And now it's a whole step going up to B. Because remember, E and F and B and C, always half steps. All the other natural notes are whole steps. So A, B, C, D, E, F is your other half step. So that's the 7th to 8th fret. And then F, G, and then G to A. Now if you play the open string and you get to the 12th fret and it's the same note as the string that you were playing open, you know you did something right. So when we get to the 12th fret, we're going to go backwards. A goes to G, G goes to F, F goes to E, E goes to D, D goes to C, C goes to B, and D goes to A. If we do the same thing on the D string, now I'll go a little faster through this one. D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D, C, B, A, G, F, E, D. Again, I'm just plugging in the notes as you go. G, whole step to A, whole step to B, only a half step to C. D, E, F, G, F, E, D, C, B, A, G. Second string is the B string. B, half step to C. D, E, F, G, A, B, A, G, F, E, D, C, B. Now, the awesome thing with natural tuning on the guitar is that the 6th string and the 1st string are exactly the same notes, just 2 octaves apart. So if this is E, this is F, G, A, B, C, D, E, D, C, B, A, G, F, E. I suppose this could be viewed as a lot of work and a lot of practice going up and down and saying the notes out loud, but this does so many really important things. I'll list all those little rules again that you want to memorize, which is the musical alphabet, which in this case we're going E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E, and then 1 fret being a half step and 2 frets being equal to a whole step on the guitar. So that's the whole 2 frets would be a whole step, 1 fret would be a half step. And then the next thing is the open tuning, or the tuning of the open strings, which is E, A, D, G, B, E. Practicing this little thing of saying and playing the notes and going up and down will help you to actually use all of these little musical rules. These are things that you will use as long as you are playing guitar. They are useful no matter what style of music you play, no matter what you want to play on the instrument. If you know where you are on the fretboard, even if you don't fully understand music theory, if you understand these basic rules, you'll be able to find what you're looking for on the fretboard. What I like to call step number 2 for taking fretboard memorization a little bit further is to look at the guitar in a diagonal fashion that starts from the 6th string and moves up to the 1st string. And what I do is I group this into 2 sets of 3 strings. There's a simple pattern that we use all the time on the guitar, which is called octaves. And what these are is 2 pitches that are 8 steps apart but are the same note. For example, if we go back to the open low E string and I play this open low E string again, and I go 2 frets up and I skip a string, you're going to get the same note 1 octave higher. This rule is going to work no matter where you are on the guitar. It looks a little weird when you're doing open strings because you're not fretting that low note, but once you fret a note, you'll see it's the same pattern. You can use your 3rd finger, your pinky, it doesn't matter. So here's E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E. This works everywhere. So you could go here, for example. Now notice that when I cross the 3rd string, because of the tuning of the guitar, I have to compensate by 1 fret. Now there's many ways of looking at this, but what you're going to realize eventually is that the guitar is primarily tuned in 4ths, with the exception of until you cross the 3rd string. What you have when you go from E to A to D, D to G, and G to B, this is a major 3rd. When you look at anything below the 3rd string, the guitar is totally tuned to 4ths. So for example, from the E to the A string would be E, F, G, A. It's an interval of a 4th. If you go from A to D, A, B, C, D. It's an interval of a 4th. But when you get to the 3rd string, these 2 strings are a major 3rd, meaning G, A, and B. Now once you get to the B string or the 2nd string, B to E is a 4th. But what ends up happening is everything from the 3rd string up kind of is viewed as being 1 half step higher. And that can be a very confusing element at first for navigating scales between the 2nd and 3rd string and pretty much everything else. It's just a pain dealing with that until you get used to that pattern. But so if I play this low open E, I'm going E, skip a string and go 2 frets up, and then E again would be skip another string and go 3 frets up. All 3 of those notes are exactly the same. I'm playing the 6th, 4th, and 2nd strings. So that's the 6th string open, the 4th string on the 2nd fret, and then my 4th finger on the 2nd string 5th fret. But if you can visualize this pattern works across the entire guitar neck. So it would be, for example, F, F, F. This is a stupid stretch. You don't have to hold all 3 notes together. I'm only doing this just so you can see the pattern. And that would be 1st fret, 3rd fret, and 6th fret for F. You could just go F, F, F. And then if you move up to G, 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 G. And then again for A, same exact pattern. This works everywhere on the guitar neck. Here's D, and then here's E. So going backwards, it's E, D, C, B, A, there's G, F, and then E. Now this concept also works starting from the 5th string. So this would be A, skip a string, 2 frets up, skip a string, 3 frets up. Of course it's easy when you're dealing with open strings because you don't have to stretch down to that note. But when you move up to B, here's B, B, there's B. So that's the 2nd fret on the 5th string, 4th fret on the 3rd string, 7th fret on the 1st string. If I move to C, same exact shape though as even the other string. Here's D, here's E, F, G, and then A. What I consider step 2 is number 1, being able to see this pattern, and then number 2, being able to just simply play up and down these two sets of 3 strings, just playing all the natural notes, starting with the open E, going up to E on the 12th fret, finding each octave above it, and then back down, doing the same thing starting on A, going up to A to the 12th fret, and then working your way back down. Being able to visualize these patterns will help you to see the fretboard and to more quickly find notes when you're trying to play something and you're looking for a specific pitch, or even, for example, if you know that you need to play this note, but you need to know what the pitch is. Well, you can say, all right, well, that note, well, it's number 1, the G string. You could go G, A, B, C, D, E. That's one way to do it. The other thing you could do is you could look at the string that's opposite and work your way backwards. Well, you know that that note is E, A, B, C, D, E. And then there's the pattern. This shape will work anywhere. The third step to this process is a continuation of the first and the second step connected to better help you to actually memorize where all these notes fall on the instrument. And what I'm doing is let's start on C and let's find every single one of those notes starting on the 6th string, going in order of the strings up to the 1st string and then back down. And what I want to do is use step 1 and step 2 to speed up the process of finding where those notes fall. The goal here is to get so fast at being able to find where the notes fall that it turns into you just beginning to know where they are. And as that starts to happen with maybe C, then you can move on to another note and then practice it, put it in time, and slowly get faster at it. Eventually, you get the natural notes memorized, and all the sharps and flats start to kind of automatically fall into place because they're literally between the spaces of the natural notes. What I would do is just simply start on C on the 6th string. Now I'm finding this note by going E, F, G, A, B, C. Or you could start at the 12th fret and go E, D, and C. That would get you there to give you that starting point of C on the 6th string on the 8th fret. Once you get that note, then you want to look for the C that's on the 5th string. So what we're looking for there is A, B, and C. So there's C on the 6th string. Now, my thought process is, if I don't know where the note is, I'm going to go back to the simplest thing that I already know, which if that's just the open strings, then I'm going to go back to the open strings and count my way up to the note that you need to find. Or, once you get above the 6th and the 5th string, you can use octaves to help you to find where the notes fall. So, for example, when you get to the 4th string, instead of counting D, E, F, G, A, B, C, you could say, okay, well, I know that C is here on the 6th string on the 8th fret because I just played it. C is on the 3rd fret of the 5th string. Now, if you just use that octave pattern, that automatically gives you the C that's on the 10th fret of the 4th string. Same thing would happen with the 3rd string. So there it is. You know where this C is. With C, because this is the B string, this one's easy. It's just 1 fret up. The string is open B, here's C. Now the awesome thing is, like I said before, the 6th string and the 5th string are always the same. Before you go crazy trying to do all the different notes, what you could do is practice putting at least those 6 notes together and forcing yourself to play them in time. No matter how slow you have to start. You could do just whole notes, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Once you get here, I'm going right back to the 2nd string, and I'm holding them and letting them ring for the full 4 beats. This will very quickly become pretty boring, and you're going to want to go faster. But as you go faster, you want to keep track of the time and force yourself to do it in time. Maybe if we switch it to quarter notes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. You can see, based off of these rules and following steps 1 and 2, you're going to very quickly start to learn where these notes fall. And if you're practicing them, not only when you're practicing this way, but when you're playing anything else, you're going to run into these notes. The reality here is that we guitar players tend to learn the guitar from the bottom to the top. We tend to play scales starting from the bottom up, going back down. We tend to play chords from the bottom up. We tend to play any power chords from from the bottom up. You're going to very quickly learn the notes on the 5th and the 6th string first, and then it's going to take a little bit more work to plug the strings in between, and then the 1st string is always going to be the repeat of the 6th string 2 octaves up. But this gives you a tangible way to connect and practice all of these little steps until they become second nature, until you know where the musical alphabet is and where all the natural notes are, and that you can find them very quickly. Everything else will fall into place, especially if you use this in your everyday playing. Once you get through C, there's many different directions you could take this after. You could go through the circle of fifths, for example, like if you wanted to go to G next, you could just start here on G, E, F, G. Follow the same exact rules. So here's G, and then to find the G on the 5th string, I'm just going to go A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Now I'm pretty sure that once you get through all those C's and you start looking for G, you're going to be able to get to G much faster than you were when you were just practicing C. But then now going to the 4th string, using octaves to find the G on the 4th string, using octaves to find the G on the 3rd string. Now, I like to, when I'm practicing this stuff and when I'm teaching this stuff, just always say, go for the open string. So in this case, the octave gives us the 12th fret on the 3rd string. You could just simply play that string open. And the reason for that is just the ease of practice, because you can go G, 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 open G, and then the G to the 2nd string, and then the G on the 1st string, rather than having to jump up here if you don't have to. If you know that the string is open, you also know that it repeats on the 12th fret at this point. That would be all the G's. G, 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 or open, G, G. And then as you get faster at it, you can even get really crazy. Once you start to go through this process, like I said, you're going to really get these notes down, and it's going to really help your playing and help your understanding of not only how the fretboard is laid out, but also, again, those basic little music rules that you need to be able to really learn the notes on the fretboard. If you enjoyed this lesson, click on the link that's right below this video, and that will take you over to practicetheguitar.com, and there you can practice with hundreds of video exercises at 15 different tempos with full backing tracks, tablature, and notation, and a lesson video for every single lesson, all designed to help you to improve your playing. Go check that out.